Hope in ordinary places. Every morning, the 7:15 bus groaned to a stop at Maple Street, doors wheezing open like it was tired of the world. Mrs. Lena boarded with her same gray coat, same careful steps, same quiet sigh. She always sat by the window, hands folded over a cloth grocery bag that was never very full. Most people on the bus had headphones on, eyes on screens, lives rushing somewhere important. No one noticed Mrs. Lena, except for the boy in the back seat. His name was Samir, and he was 10, with scuffed shoes and a backpack that looked heavier than he was. Every morning he watched Mrs. Lena count her coins twice before putting them back in her pocket. Every morning he saw her smile at the bus driver, even on rainy days when her shoes were soaked. One Tuesday, the bus hit a pothole, and Mrs. Lena's grocery bag tipped over. An apple rolled down the aisle. It stopped at Samir's sneaker. He picked it up and walked it back to her. "You dropped this," he said. Her eyes crinkled with surprise. "Oh, thank you, dear." Samir nodded and went back to his seat. The next morning, when Mrs. Lena got on, she found something on her seat, a small paper napkin folded into a clumsy flower. She looked around, confused, until she spotted Samir pretending very hard to stare out the window. She kept the napkin flower in her coat pocket all day. The day after that, Samir left a different surprise, a packet of sugar from a cafe, with a smiley face drawn on it. "Sweet day," it said in pencil. Mrs. Lena laughed softly. It was the first time she'd laughed on the bus in a long while. So she started bringing something too. On Thursday, Samir found a wrapped mint on his seat. On Friday, a tiny note, "You make the mornings kinder." They never talked much. Just small nods, small smiles, a quiet exchange of tiny things that cost almost nothing. But something changed on that bus. The driver started saying, "Good morning," louder. A lady offered her seat to an older man without being asked. Someone helped a mother fold her stroller. No one announced it. No one planned it. It was just easier to be kind there. One morning, Samir didn't get on at Maple Street. Mrs. Lena held a little chocolate in her hand, waiting. The bus felt colder than usual. At the next stop, a woman boarded with tired eyes and a stack of hospital papers clutched to her chest. She looked lost, like the world had shrunk overnight. Mrs. Lena stood up. "Please," she said gently, offering her seat. "You look like you need this more than I do." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. Mrs. Lena sat in Samir's old seat in the back. And for the first time, she noticed a coin on the seat beside her. Taped to it was a tiny note in messy pencil. "For someone who needs a little help today." Mrs. Lena smiled all the way to Maple Market. Hope, she realized, didn't always live in big miracles or loud changes. Sometimes it sat on a bus seat, folded into a napkin flower, drawn in pencil on a sugar pack-up. Tea. The next morning, Mrs. Lena still looked for Samir at Maple Street. The doors opened. Cold air rushed in. A man with a briefcase stepped on. Then a girl with bright purple headphones. But no scuffed shoes. No too big backpack. Mrs. Lena pressed her lips together and sat down in the back, her fingers resting on the coin and note he had left. She had placed them carefully inside her coat pocket, as if they were something fragile and alive. The tired woman from yesterday got on again at Pine Avenue. She spotted Mrs. Lena and gave a small, grateful smile before sitting nearby. "You helped me yesterday," the woman said softly. "I didn't even ask your name." "Lena," she replied. "And you?" "Farah." Farah looked like someone carrying more than just a handbag. Dark circles under her eyes, shoulders pulled tight. Mrs. Lena recognized that kind of tired, the kind that lives in the heart. "My son is in the hospital," Farah said after a pause. "Broken leg. Surgery went well, but," her voice wobbled. "It's been a lot." Mrs. Lena nodded gently. "Hospitals are heavy places. But children are stronger than we think." Farah smiled weakly. "I hope so." Mrs. Lena reached into her pocket and pulled out the little coin with Samir's note taped to it. She held it out. "This was given to me," she said. For someone who needs a little help. Farah blinked. Oh no, I couldn't. It's not about the money, Mrs. Lena said with a soft chuckle. It's about the reminder. Farah took it carefully, like it might break. She read the note and let out a shaky breath that sounded almost like relief. That day, something new happened on the bus. The driver, whose name tag read Imran, noticed Farah wiping her eyes. At the next red light, he reached into his lunch bag and passed back a small juice box. For the hospital, he said. Cafeteria drinks are too expensive. Farah covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Thank you. A teenager across the aisle quietly took off his hoodie and offered it. Hospitals are freezing, he muttered. By the time Farah got off, she was carrying more than she brought, a hoodie, a juice box, and a little less fear. Mrs. Lena watched her go, warmth blooming in her chest. The days passed, and the back of the 7:15 bus slowly became something like a moving living room. People who never used to look up began to nod at one another. Someone started leaving spare bus tickets tucked into the seat cracks. A college student brought extra biscuits on Mondays, just in case. No one mentioned Samir, but Mrs. Lena felt him there, in the quiet bravery of small gestures. Then, one rainy Thursday, the bus stopped at Maple Street. And a familiar pair of scuffed shoes climbed aboard. Samir looked smaller somehow, tired, but when he spotted Mrs. Lena, his whole face lit up. You were gone, she said, her voice warm with relief. Had to stay with my aunt, he said, sliding into the seat beside her. Mom's working double shifts. Mrs. Lena nodded. Life was heavy for children too, sometimes. Samir noticed the empty seat in front of them where Farah usually sat. Where's the crying lady? Mrs. Lena smiled. Her son is healing. She still rides sometimes. She's not crying as much now. Samir grinned. Good. He pulled something from his backpack, a slightly squished sandwich wrapped in foil. I brought an extra, he said. In case someone forgets lunch. Mrs. Lena laughed softly, eyes shining. You've started something big, you know. Samir frowned. I did. Yes, she said. But it still looks small. That's how the best things start. At the next stop, a construction worker boarded, patting his pockets with worry. Forgot my wallet, he muttered. Before Mrs. Lena could move, Samir held out the sandwich. You can have this, he said. It's peanut butter. I didn't lick it or anything. The man blinked, then laughed. Thanks, champ. Mrs. Lena looked out the bus window as rain streaked the glass, turning the city into a blur of gray. Inside the bus, though, it felt different. Warmer, lighter. Hope hadn't arrived with fireworks or headlines. It had come quietly. In coins taped to notes. In juice boxes. In napkin flowers. In peanut butter sandwiches offered by small hands. And every morning at 7:15, the doors still wheezed open. Winter arrived quietly, frosting the bus windows in the early mornings. The 7:15 bus still groaned, still rattled, still smelled faintly of damp coats and engine oil, but now it carried something else too. Something you couldn't see, but could feel the moment you stepped on. Samir called it, the good bus. Mrs. Lena called it, our little miracle on wheels. One Monday, the heater on the bus broke. Cold air crept through the doors at every stop, and people tucked their hands into sleeves, shoulders hunched. Normally, that kind of morning made everyone grumpy. But not on this bus. The college student with the biscuits, her name turned out to be Aisha, pulled a wool hat from her bag and handed it to an older man whose ears were bright red. Imran, the driver, announced, free smiles today. Premium quality, and someone near the front actually giggled. Samir dug into his backpack and passed Mrs. Lena a pair of mismatched gloves. I found them at home. They don't match, but hands don't care. Mrs. Lena slipped them on like they were silk. Perfect fit, she declared. From the middle seats, Farah stood up. She looked different now, still tired, but lighter, like someone who had finally exhaled. My son is coming home tomorrow, she said, her voice shy but proud. I brought something to say thank you. She opened a small container and began passing around pieces of homemade cake, carefully cut into tiny squares so everyone could have some. No forks, she warned with a smile. Bus style. Crumbs fell. Laughter followed. Even strangers made eye contact. Outside, the city rushed past. Gray buildings, honking cars, people hurrying with their heads down. Inside, it felt like a tiny, moving kitchen table. A week later, a new passenger boarded. He wore a wrinkled shirt and carried a folder stuffed with papers. His leg bounced nervously as he sat, eyes fixed on the floor. Samir noticed first. "You look like you're about to throw up," he said honestly. "Mrs. Lena gave him a gentle look. "Samir. What?" "He does." The man let out a surprised laugh. "I have a job interview," he admitted. "First one in months." Mrs. Lena leaned forward. "Then we must send you properly." Aisha offered him a biscuit, for brain power. Farah straightened his crooked tie. Imran called back, "You've got this, sir. The good bus believes in you." Samir handed him a folded napkin. On it was a wobbly star drawn in pen. "For luck," he said. The man held the napkin like it was gold. When he got off, he turned and waved at the whole bus. And everyone waved back. Spring came early that year. One morning, Mrs. Lena climbed aboard and stopped short. Taped above the back seats was a small sign, written in colorful markers. "Welcome to the good bus. Kindness rides free." Below it, someone had drawn a napkin flower. Mrs. Lena covered her mouth, eyes shining. "Who did this?" she asked. Imran shrugged dramatically. "Must be famous decorators." Samir looked very interested in his shoelaces. From that day on, people who boarded the bus felt it right away. The nods. The smiles. The quiet way someone would shift to make room, or hold a bag, or offer the last biscuit. Not everyone knew how it started. They didn't know about the apple rolling down the aisle. Or the sugar packet smiley face. Or the coin taped to a seat. But they felt the result. Hope had moved in. It lived in the back row. It rode every morning at 7:15. It looked like ordinary people choosing, again and again, to be a little kinder than they had to be. And every time the bus doors folded open with their tired wheeze, the city got another chance to carry that hope a little farther.